And now a 60-second completely improvised speech from Alex Knight about which would you prefer, to have ears that are half the size of your current ears or ears that are twice the size of your current ears? Starting now.
Ooh, I mean, vanity, right? That hits hard. That hits hard for a second. The first thought is like, yeah, which will people judge more and look harder at so as to avoid it? That said, fuck them. Big ears for the hearing. I think I would imagine a bigger ear is a bigger catching thing. Like elephants have the big ears. I think which one has one that is shaped like the continent? There's an elephant that's ears are shaped like what it's supposed to be. So maybe I'd have ears that are big and shaped like Corrales, so you know where I'm from, based on the geography of my ear, and I'll have that good hearing because I really like music. And I like to stand in the back at things. I don't necessarily like to be in the front sometimes. So I want to be in the back and I want to be able to catch stuff. You might hear gossip. You might hear things you don't want to hear. But hey, that's life. That's life too. And that'll fill it out. Okay. Here we go. Oh, Sarah, you're growing a large spike out of your body.
Again?
Where is it?
Okay. Immediately I think about probably like my shoulder blades. I guess maybe that comes from pop culture. And you don't see a lot of things grow out of humans in movies. You see people turn into werewolves and like transform in some ways, but to actually see something like protrude, it's usually wings. Like you'll see people like grow wings. So when you asked me that question, immediately I was like, oh, that spike is coming right out of here. It's coming right out of my wingaling. But I think that honestly, that would make the most sense anyway, because I could use it as hat rack. I think it could really like help me out with I wear overalls anyway, so like I'll just put it over the spike and it'll match. It'll be nice. And ideally, I'll get two, and then I can have kind of some symmetry, which would be, I think, really nice.
20 seconds.
Yeah. I got 20 more seconds about this cool
time.
spike.
Yeah, we didn't prep those two, I don't think, very well, but
No.
but that's okay. Look at how we can work. I thought of the Ninja Turtles, like, yeah, they had all kinds of spikes on them, and like I did like hanging stuff on them, and like body dysmorphic today, huh?
A little bit. I think it is a little bit.
All right, should we get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Goofball Coalition, the podcast that lives where improv and stand-up collide. And now, here's your hosts, Alex Knight and Sarah Kennedy.
Hello, welcome to the Goofball Coalition. My name is Alex Knight. I'm an improviser.
I'm Sarah Kennedy. I am a stand-up comedian. That intro comes to us thanks to Matthew Bloodsmith, who is a fantastic voiceover artist.
Oh yeah, let's bring him on.
Yeah, we should.
Have him talk about his craft and why he does what he does.
Mm-hmm. So this is the Goofball Coalition, the podcast where improv and stand-up come together like that little beetle in Aladdin, and then open up a cave of secrets.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Hey, so today I want to talk to you a bit about touring sure. And travel and all that, because you do it quite a bit, it seems.
Yeah, I like to go see other scenes and take my little jokies on the road. So.
Yeah, and I'm a little jealous. I think it's possible for us as improv groups to tour and to submit to festivals and stuff, but it's just like, yeah, it's scheduling. It's so much harder. Like an individual, you get to go, and it's just so much easier, it seems. At the same time, of course, difficult in a lot of ways. So yeah, I just want to pick your brain a little bit about, like, I don't know, when do you as a stand-up comedian feel like it's time to leave the nest? Like, what is that impulse? How often is that like driven from day one as like a stand-up comedian or whatever? How do you teach that? And yeah, so I don't know, start there maybe.
Cool. That's all good stuff. I think genuinely that a comedian should go out of town as soon as possible. So the first couple times they've gotten up on stage, they should go out of town. And I don't mean like asked to get booked on big shows, but every scene has open mics. And if you go to like a place like Denver, you can hit up some of the best open mics in the country just by showing up and signing up. So like if you want to go and see what, like if you've gotten used to the jokes that you've heard around you and you want to see other people's jokes, and even if you've got other travel planned, that tends to be a lot of the ways that I get shows, is like I just happen to be going to Denver for a work trip or something like that, or I'll be in Austin because Kelly's family is there, and then I just hit up people that I know that are out there and they can either get me on shows or we'll pop around to mics together, and then I like to hang out with those friends and then also get to like try my jokes. But I think there was a couple times when I first started that a big batch of us would go out of town together, and it was really fun to just like go and we just all sign up at all the mics together, and some people would get on, everybody would get on, some people would do well, everybody would do well, nobody would do well. There'd be like a whole bunch of cool experiences, but you get to do it with your comedy friends, and it's fun. And then you get to start networking, which is ultimately the thing that gets you the furthest fastest in comedy, is just knowing who you know and cheering each other on, and then giving back when you can. So
yeah, is there, I don't know, is there a stagnation that can happen when you are in the same town, surrounded by same comedians doing similar jokes, and like I don't know, I can imagine there might be some burnout. Like it's on you, I guess, to keep creating and reinventing your show, but you can only move at a certain pace. And it's like almost not fair to expect you to create a new show every week for the audience. But like, yeah, you have these crafted things, and to like get more mileage out of them, I suppose, by touring them and like having fresh people hear them. I don't know.
Yeah, it's nice. And I will say, like, there's this going adage that's always like, local jokes get you local work. And so like when you go out of town and you've got these jokes that you've written only in your home scene, and they end up all being about Ron Bell or Don Schrader, then all of a sudden people who don't know who those people are don't get that joke. And so then you got to start thinking about things a little bit more universally.
Yeah.
And so that's also a really great lesson. Like it's really fun to go out there and be like, oh, I used to have a joke about Pistol Pete's and like Peter Piper pizza. That was like a big one that I had. And so then I would go to other towns and be like, do they have a Peter Piper pizza here? Is this like a regional thing? And like have to figure out what the alternative joke would be if they didn't have one. So like
you probably swap it in, because there's probably a different one that exists there. Yeah.
So, but that kind of, even sometimes you don't realize that something is a local reference, and then you'll just say something like, and then everybody in the crowd will go, we don't know what that is. And so,
yeah. I mean, that's a lesson for a comedian too, in general. Like your references are your references, and be aware of the reach of them, I suppose. Yeah, I definitely learned that when I was a young comedian. Yeah, saying some stuff that is very personal to me that I thought everyone had experienced.
Yeah. And it's also nice too. I mean, this happened in New York also, where it was like, comedy is my life. And so you'd go every night after work, and it would just be going with a group of comics to 4 mics, and you're just saying your jokes back to those same 4 comics. Then you go to the next mic, same. And so then all of a sudden, all your jokes and the way you're writing becomes about making those people laugh, but then it becomes very inside baseball. And then the second you're like real human people, it's like, it's hard. Like you have to really switch gears. And so another cool thing about like, if you're here in Albuquerque, or if you're in your local scene and you only tell jokes that make the other comics that you are growing up next to laugh, then go someplace else just to see even how the other comedians laugh, or what they think is funny. So it's all good to get more.
Do you know anyone that has like done really well here and then just like not at all been able to do well elsewhere in some, I don't know.
I don't know. No, I don't think so. Because I would say like even like Stephen Casada he's a local guy who has local jokes about his local life. Yeah. But he goes out and he performs everywhere. He'll go to Hyenas in Texas and be able to talk about things fine. Zach Abeda also has jokes that he'll like, he just adjusts them when he goes out of town, so they are about more explaining like where he's from. And I think that's a cool way to do it. But
I guess there's no one that's like, I don't tour. Fuck it. I don't do well. I don't like it doesn't work for me. No.
Yeah. No,
I would imagine so. I imagine anyone that's like doing it. Yeah. Like there's no way it's not good for you, and like, growing you or whatever. And must take a lot of bravery, I'm sure, too, to go in front of new crowds.
It's probably the scariest it's the one thing that I still get like nerves for, is like, I'll be somewhere and I'll be like, these people don't know me from anything. And I mean, kind of technically that's how it is here now. Like everything's grown. Albuquerque's bigger than it's been. Albuquerque will always be bigger than it ever was. But like, there's still nights where people don't know anything about me or where I'm coming from, and I got to start from scratch with them. But Yeah, like a couple weeks ago when I was in Indiana, I like went out and I was like, okay, here we go, guys. A couple things, like let's get this out of the way. Like some heavy premise work, and I think about that with like Mark Maron has a huge podcast crowd, and people come to see him live because they listen to his podcast.
Mhm.
So that takes care of so much of his premise work. Like everybody knows he has cats. Everybody knows he doesn't have kids, or you know what I mean.
Sure. Yeah, they're fans
And
of his life
yeah.
already or
So
whatever.
then he
Yeah.
can jump ahead and be like, me and my cats, and like so.
Yeah.
That's the worst Mark Maron impression that's ever existed because he doesn't sound like that at all. But so it is kind of, you do have to kind of keep that in mind too, of like these people, we're starting from zero,
Mhm.
and we got to make sure that they all still find the stuff funny at the end. But
Yeah. I mean, I've toured like theater productions, like
Mhm.
original work that we've created. So like slightly similar, like to go to a crowd and be like, this is the art we made, and like but so exciting. It's so fun to have strangers not know and to like feel them start to trust you or whatever. I'm sure that's like a great feeling. Your first like good laugh or first like time you catch them and you're like, oh, okay, I
yeah.
am good. I know I'm good. But you do have to have a little bit of that fear and doubt, I think, to be a good performer, being like, I could fuck this up. Not you can't assume you're gonna crush it, but like that moment when you do pull it out, yeah.
But okay, so I mean, you've taken stuff internationally. That's got to
Yeah.
be
Yeah, yeah.
something pretty intense. Like, how do you handle like that kind of cultural difference and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think same thing, just bravery in your work and thinking like I've done the work and this is good or whatever. Yeah, I mean, yeah, different cultures might take your stuff differently or whatever, and that's the risk. But at the same time, the work that we were doing, you were saying, when you tour, you got to think of that bigger audience. I think, yeah, you start to expand your art or either expand it or maybe minimize it, make it simpler.
Ah,
Like, I think it's both things. It's like the local joke is somewhere in the middle, but it's like, what is the more emotional truth that's universal, or what is the bigger, more global truth of like specifics or whatever. But I think it's generally boil it down smaller. And I think probably the same in stand up. Like, yeah, the more vulnerable and the more simple it is, the more relatable it is. And that's the work we were doing touring international, was like a lot of like nonverbal theater and a lot of physical theater and stuff. So it's like translates much easier. There's less risk of you, I don't know, over explaining things, maybe getting too lost in those weeds.
yeah.
Yeah.
There was before I moved to New York, the box had like they did the Duke City Improv Fest or something like that, and they really
Yeah.
did bring a bunch of improv groups in from like the region.
Denver and Phoenix and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That seems like a cool way to kind of mingle.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing is I think for me, like I was saying before, it's like I'm having trouble touring improv, but like I love hosting stuff. So like,
Mhm.
yeah, I think it might be time. Yeah, that was pre-COVID and we haven't done a festival since, but like I think it might be time to try to pull some people into us a little bit. And like, yeah.
I'm not sure. I think by the time this shows or this premieres comes out, the submissions for Funny Fiesta will be done. But
Mhm,
one of the things that we go out of our way to make sure we include is that you can submit a group. So
mhm.
it would be really cool if we got some other like improv groups from other like
Yeah.
scenes to submit. But I just don't know. I don't even know how to start reaching out for that. We had, I think, Maori and I hosted, maybe it was a sketch group, but it was like an improv / sketch group called Duck and Cover one time
Uh-huh.
during our time slot and at the box a long time ago. And they were all super nice. And they all ended up being like a couple people I knew in New York later on, where they were like, yeah, you let us come to Albuquerque. And it was so cool. And
Yeah, I wonder how you find them. I guess you just poke the theaters.
mhm.
I'll
Go back
poke
to
the
that
theaters.
Reddit thread, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
But what do you think? Okay, so say like the show or Left on Red or whatever gets to travel someplace. What would be 3 things you would hope that they would pick up and bring back from their travels?
Huh. Yeah. I mean, like, it's just so important. I think Albuquerque does not, it doesn't get a lot of stuff through. And it's like incredibly important that you like grab these big people when they're in and like, and just any of the touring people that you bring in, but like that we see these different voices. And that's
Mhm.
definitely something when touring theater that I learned, and touring international even more so. Is like the more diverse and like smaller those voices are. And I think talking to the community leaders wherever you go is pretty good to like figure out the things that they're doing. We're both running comedy theaters and there's no book about that. I'm sure there's books about it.
There's really not.
But they're got to be so incredibly specific. Like every single journey, or like when I went to LA, every person's journey and how they got to where they are is so incredibly different. And so often people are like, how did you make it or whatever, hoping that that story will somehow teach you how to make it. But I think it'll just show you one of the many paths. And it's important to see all the possible choices, not to mirror any of those choices, but yeah, talk to different communities and see what they're doing and stuff, the kinds of shows they're doing, and just like steal all that stuff, like whatever cool ideas they're doing. I think it's rare that people have so much ownership of like an idea for a show. It's like we just want comedy to happen. So yes, I would say like watch shows and stuff, talk to community people. And what's a third thing? I don't know. Just bring back your own bravery again. Like you talked about going in front of these other people, and it's terrifying to like share your art, but like, I don't know, do it. And you'll come back much braver to our community. I think I'm sure any comedians that you've sent out, or not that you've sent, but you've encouraged them to go. And when they come back, I bet they're stronger and better. And I mean, there's some like I don't know, just in the periphery, like Kurt Fletcher's that guy. He's only touring almost, it seems like. I see his like schedules or whatever, and he's all over the place all the time, and like that's got to be the dream somewhat. It's like a hotel dream, but like
it is.
Like there is the dark side of all of our touring stuff. Or Lauren, my wife's in a band, and like they tour, and so fun. It's the best thing in the world. It's also incredibly hard and difficult and straining for the groups, and whatever.
It's also this is a weird thing that I mean, for a while, I mean, I was really on the road a lot before I moved to New York. And then I think I only did a couple out of town shows at all in New York that weren't just coming home and doing them here. But like, it is really scary to travel alone as a girl. Like it was like, it would really be like really hard. And I almost always got to bring my own opener, or like I would just split my time with a dude friend of mine, because it was just easier to have a guy on the road with me. But like, there are like one-nighters that I did in like Amarillo and like some places that I'm like, what is about to happen right now? Like, this is crazy. And these people are like gunning for me. And so that was also a weird.
What is like the payment for stuff? And like, when do you set those prices? Are there standard prices? Like how does that work? Is it just like a lobster dinner and a hotel room?
I'm probably the single worst comedian to ask about pay and rate. Like I literally
you can be getting paid.
Well, you can. Like the people be like, what's your rate? And I'll be like, it's literally like a whisper on the wind. You'll never get a number out of me because I don't know. Well, how much money do you have? What do you want to give me? Like anytime I've ever gotten paid for telling jokes, I feel like I've pulled a incredible schemy trick. Like
yeah. Oh, that's so not fair to you, though. It's really not. We'll get into that in a second. But like, what about like teaching? If someone asks you to teach a workshop or something, do you have like...
The going opinion about stand-up comedy classes is that they're all scams. And so I worked really hard to, like, the couple times I've done it, I've made sure that like my syllabus is like, don't do a scam one. This is a good one. Like this one has real like resources,
how do you prove that you're a real one.
And so, but that also, I mean, I'll do workshops for people writing circle on Sundays are free. And we basically go over basic theory stuff in those. And then, so I don't know, like I know a couple $100 is nice, but I don't know, whatever.
Isn't that crazy how hard that is for you? I have that too. It's like really, and what is that? That's our personal shit, but like, you not valuing yourself because someone that, I don't know, I think maybe it's for me not having money. I'm like, I don't want to take anyone's money, but there's people that have tons of money that they're like, in retrospect, like okay, this is funny. I was teaching online during Zoom Tuesday drop-in, and it was like, pay what you can. I think it was suggested donation $5 or something for like 2 hours. It was great. And this lady from Santa Fe, who just based on the Zoom, like she has a nice house. She's, I think, a professional woman. She would like email me and be like, you should charge so much better than me. I'm an amateur woman. She would give me the $5 and she was like, you should charge more for this. And it's like, I'm not like, you can give more. Yeah. I'm shy of asking for more, but like, I don't know. It's just so interesting to have someone tell me I should value myself more and then not help me value myself more by not paying me more. But yeah, I think it's based on the person. Like when I teach a workshop, like for a group or whatever, it's like, I want at least like 60 is so embarrassingly small. And they're like normally they raise it or whatever, but it's based on the group. I'm like, I just don't want, I want it to be accessible. I think for
Yeah.
you too, it's like whatever you can pay, like the minimum is what I want, and then like tip me as much as you want, hopefully a ton, but like I'm not brave enough to ask for that, but like I'm sure you and I could ask for more for what we're doing. And it's like at this point you have so many years of experience, and you know, like you can value that as a resource, and it's hard for me to see that as a resource in myself, but like it is.
It's just different for stand-up though, because really everybody starts this. Everybody, you could take a million classes, but until you get up at an open mic, it won't matter. And so
Yeah, and it's
then,
so
like anybody
individual.
who says that they can teach you to be funny is lying to you. You can't do. You
Yeah.
have to go and you have to like do it over and over again. My classes were just a way to be like, in between you going out and doing it, let's come
Yeah.
back together and let's talk about basics of public speaking, some basics of history, some basics about like things to consider and resources that already exist that I can give you chunks of that because I bought the book and I can share
Yeah.
the book with you, you know, like that kind of stuff. And so with that,
I
I'm
think
like,
that's what I'm saying. Yours though is valid because those are actual skills that like if you're a stand-up and you don't have basic public speaking, like, hey, quit fucking fidgeting, like that is a valuable note to give a stand-up. And yeah, some other comedian could give it to them on the side after their set or whatever. But like, I don't know, you're loving and caring. And so like that is also valuable. Like you are going to take care of these people. You invest in them. And I think you're right. So many of these classes are probably not that. And it is, you know, I don't know. What does a bad stand-up class look like?
they're so common. It's like one of those things where it's also like people think it's a fast track to get into the club and get passed at the club. And usually they advertise themselves as that. And then, nope, you're just back of the line
Because it
with
would be
everybody else.
you as the club owner teaching it or whatever.
They'll hire somebody like some comic or whatever. But it's
Mm.
the problem is, and this is also one of those things where I'll minimize my achievements in this also, but like the person teaching the class is a person who's not so busy doing comedy and starring in movies with The Rock that he can teach a class. You know what I mean?
Mhm,
So it's
mhm.
like, well, how much are you
Yeah.
you're gonna really figure out like what the value is for a person who wants to take a class. And I think I've kind of kicked around the idea of doing like a couch to open mic, kind of like the way that they do like couch to 5K kind of training.
Sure. Yeah.
And kind of doing something like that where it's like this is the motivator and the like stuff to get you to that first open mic. Let's get you like set up so that you feel prepared for that.
Yeah.
I think that would be kind of a cool way to do a class that's a little
great.
different. But
Yeah, like an 8-week, like, yeah. Yeah, I think that's great. Well, and yeah. Again, those are valuable, they're very valuable skills, like that kind of care and love and like the stuff that you can offer. I don't know.
well, you know, we'll just see. But it is one of the, I mean, that the rate thing, the class thing, like all this stuff is like really touchy with comedians. Like it's really weird how easy it is to make somebody angry in comedy.
Yeah.
They're all supposed to be goofballs, but
yeah, just that like, oh, you think you can teach them? Like I could teach. Like, yeah, I get. Where's that fragility come from?
I don't know. I also wonder if it's just because it is such a lone wolfy kind of solo thing that you shouldn't ask for help. You should just go out and take your lumps and learn on your own.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, it's kind of probably the best way to learn it. Yeah. And anyone, I mean, that's the thing, anyone looking for that class. I have a lot of people, I think, looking for like acting improv for actors or actors improv because they're looking for like, I'm an actor and I need improv skills, but like I want them to be applicable in some way. But the truth is, it's like it's the same fucking class. Like it's take an improv class and treat it seriously. But people think there's some magic. And I wonder if people taking a stand-up class are looking for like the magic key of like, I will be funny. This person can teach me to be funny or whatever. And it's like, no, it's not. It's about finding your voice.
It's got to be some like, well, because I get it in my auditions sometimes too. Where I'll be like, feel free to improv here and like improvise here, and I'm like, yeah, but what they're asking for is like end of a Will Ferrell movie, like 5 or 6 different takes on something, which is a little different than trying to build something with a partner.
Totally.
And so I wonder if that's what it is. But like, you
yeah,
can't.
yeah, I get that too. Yeah, my auditions say like improvise a little bit, and I'm like, you don't know. It's weird, but you're like, you're wrong. You don't know what you're asking quite for here in some ways. Like I've had ones that do work where they were like, improvise a scene about like, you know, a restaurant worker talking about to their coworkers about something or whatever, like gossip. That you can do like a scene or whatever. But yeah, when it's like improv during the scene, you're like, yeah, no.
But that being said, if there's any casting directors who are watching this right now, we are thrilled to do
We're
it.
ready to do
We
it.
love it. We love it. So that's nice. Anything else about touring? I'm trying to think of it, but everybody should go do it. It doesn't matter if you improvise or if you tell stand-up jokes. Go see the world. And that's another thing too that I found, even with small talk with strangers or whatever, the second I mention that I'm a stand-up comedian, it can launch into a very cliche and really cheesy kind of conversation with people. But at the same time, it saves me a lot of effort with, because I'm pretty sure of what I know is going to come out of the person's mouth about asking me questions about like, you ever use that in your skit, or like that kind of stuff too. And so it makes small talk really easy. And if you are going to a new town on your own and you know you're a comedian, there is no easier way than to find a group of people that at least has something you can talk to with than to go find the other comedians in whatever other town there is.
Yeah, I think sometimes I have a hard time defining myself as an artist and a comedian because it's like feels like pretty cocky to assume that you're funny or whatever. But I think if I look at my life and my track history and all that, like I am probably a comedian and an actor. And so my point being, when you get this chance to tour, be a fucking comedian. And like, because you might not be one forever, you might not do stand up forever, but like for this, whatever, you're a comedian in a foreign town, whatever. Yeah, and so like own it and meet the other people there and like wear that hat proudly. Value yourself and think of yourself as an artist when you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have trouble with it, and I've been doing it a long time.
I literally couldn't even imagine. And probably this is probably one of Kelly's pet peeves about me. I should probably ask her, but like, I don't even when we go to Vegas, I'll still be like, I wonder if I should hit up like some of my friends out here and like do a show. Like I have not taken a vacation in 15 years where I haven't thought like I could do a show or so.
Yeah. That's so cool though, that it is definitely still a thing you really love. That like when you're on vacation doing your fun, you want to add that on there.
Sure.
Sure. Maybe. Yeah.
Joke tourism. Yeah, that's my
I don't know. That sounds so fun. Yeah. When I travel, I look for like escape rooms and I look for disc golf courses.
Yeah.
But yeah, you get to look for open mics. I could look for jams, I guess.
Yeah.
But that it just seems no, it's fun. It's fun to pop into a random jam.
I think no, I mean I'm actually fascinated at the idea of traveling and not doing like
of really putting it away and not being
like you just I just picture like you and Lauren like somewhere and you guys are just like, let's go find the escape room, and I'm like telling Kelly like, if I just do one show, I promise you just like one. So she's really sweet about it.
Really heckle one comedian a little bit.
Yeah, no problem.
Funny.
Yeah,
it depends on where it comes from. If it's a need, if Sarah needs to be seen and celebrated, that's probably not good. But I don't think that's it.
That's never what I'm doing.
Yeah, I know, right? Again, neither of us are the type that's like, look at me. Mm-hmm. I mean, we do for our jobs, but yeah, we're pretty introverted. Yeah, I don't want that attention.
Well, on that note, let's go to segment 3.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah. All right. Segment 3. Where we do some random stuff. We got a brand new patron on our Patreon.
Who that?
Lecca joined.
Nice. She's on your side, I bet, right?
Let's find out. Drum roll, please. We'll look at this right now. We've got a chance to take a look-see. We've got 11 members on our Patreon.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
Thank you to all of them. That's are... So yeah, Lecca, Rob Jenoff.
Yep.
So Lecca did pick team stand-up. Woo! Woo! And then Rob did team improv.
Good. Rob was our violinist, our electric violinist for the show for a bit. He was great.
Cool. That's very cool. So, all right, right now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 team stand-ups, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 team improv.
All right, I'm on it. Crowdsourcing. I'm gonna get them.
If you're out there and you're listening, you can support and pick your side by going to the Goofball Coalition, patreon.com/the Goofball Coalition podcast. And then for $1 a month, you just get to take a stand and pledge allegiance, I guess.
Lecca's currently in my class. And so we'll see. I've got a couple more classes. We'll see if I can get her to switch.
Lecca is so incredible. Yeah. They are, and they've gotten a lot out of it. I can tell you right now. They really enjoy it.
Yeah.
What else? What you got going on?
What do I got going on? Nothing. I'm ready to get out of here though. I need to travel a little bit. So I've got some trips planned. So that'll be exciting.
Same here. I'm going to New York here and like probably after this is aired. So cool. Love to share old news. But I have a show which our old roommate Brett runs with one of my favorite comedians, Jordan Dahl, in a bar that is it's a hidden bar inside of a laundromat. So
Very cool.
we can't pay people to come see comedy in a space dedicated to it sometimes, but they hide their show like it's an Easter egg and they still are able to pack it out in New York. So it's kind of a fun.
I think that's going back to touring and seeing other things. Sometimes there is a danger when you go to like someplace like that and you're like, oh my God, we should do this. And it's like, we can't do that.
Yeah.
With all love, we don't have the resources, we don't have the community to support like that specific kind of a thing sometimes.
Yeah, and when I say I'm exaggerating. We actually have been having great shows down.
Yes, we're doing great. We're doing great, but like we can't do a like drive out like 3 hours into the desert to see this weird thing yet.
It's not a rave.
We're working on things. Like we can't support a Sleep No More for like how long did that show run? Like
it's still technically running. They kept it a little bit longer.
Is it just like the second actors have filled in, and the third it's just like this copy of a copy of like
they're just like, well, we're just gonna run till we run out of masks.
Still got 50,000. Did you ever see that show?
Oh my God, yes. And I got picked to do the one storyline with the nurse lady on the top floor. That's like a single. It's like only a couple people get picked every show.
So you speak as though everyone knows what you're talking about.
That's cool. It was the part that Marisha Wood played when she was part of the cast. I don't know. It's like I got really into the concept of it because it is very, very cool.
So cool. And we've done stuff like that. Trick Lock used to do shows like that.
There was a quarantine that was like that, which is very cool.
Yeah. And I think going back to exactly what we're talking about, I think some of those people in Blackout like saw Sleep No More, took what they liked about it, and then like gave it to Albuquerque. Like, hey, some of you can't go there to see that show, so we're going to give you the best version that we can or whatever.
Yeah, that's my other favorite thing too about traveling is like I get very inspired by just even the setup of rooms and just the different things that people have, and it's neat to get to bring it back here. So
yeah.
Well, y'all, we've got shows every Friday and Saturday down on 2nd and Gold. You can check out the Boxes House Team, the show. They perform Fridays and Saturdays at 9.
Yes.
Or you can come see us in Dry Heat, 9:30. We have a really cool showcase every single week of really cool people. So
or do both. I was teaching at the New Day. It's for the runaway children, and one of the other guys there, he just went and saw a stand-up show at your place, and he had a great time.
Okay, good.
Who was it? It was the lady who was on the poster, who was the woman that was just
Kate Willett. She was just here.
Yep. He loved it. His girlfriend dragged him out to it. Took him out.
But that Saturday night show when she was in town was like a fire. It was just electric. It was so cool.
So cool. Awesome.
All right. Well,
all right, let's get out of here.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you. Love y'all.
Thanks
for listening.
Yeah.